Throughout human history, the seven deadly sins, pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth, have been used to label human vices. Today, we're taking a fresh look at these classic concepts and applying them to the world of college football. Join me as we explore 7 teams that perfectly embody each of the 7 deadly sins, and I'll be going over all of them, starting with greed. Who better to represent that sin than the Crimson Tide? Greed is defined as an excessive and selfish desire for more of something than is needed, especially material gain or social value. It can also refer to the desire for fame, attention, or power being the primary thing that greedy people are looking to secure more of. That summed up the Alabama situation perfectly for the last decade, with taking more and more prospects than they could ever hope to use, basically just leaving them with nowhere to play and being forced to hit the transfer portal in order to at least have a chance at actually playing a college game, let alone Power 5 football. But why do the Crimson Tide have such a massive greed problem? And well, that comes from the nature of college football and the championship standard that was established during the Nick Saban era, and has carried over into what will be the Kalen DeBoer era. How they are ran during both eras, Alabama of course have and want the Tide to win, but they made sure to go about that in the cheapest, most inexpensive way possible. For years, the Tide have signed high school and transfer portal talent through the use of guaranteed national exposure if they manage to see the field, or possible NIL collective payments, but nobody knows for sure because they're one of the least reported on teams when it comes to paying players to come to Alabama. The amount of prospects that the Tide have had in previous years is pretty impressive, and it's fine to try and win a national championship with a large number of high caliber talent. But the Tide have made a mistake, and that's creating a culture that probably won't sustain without yearly dominance and a strong figurehead at the helm of this program. We have seen what Alabama's looked like without Saban during the early 2000s. If DeBoer can't provide dominant results quickly and early in his tenure, then it means that these players are going to try and find new homes with other teams once the spotlight expires, or simply because they'll have other emerging programs to choose from with more opportunities and possibly a bigger bag. With the recent loss to unranked Vanderbilt, maybe this is the start to the end of the Crimson Tide's current greed streak, but we shouldn't forget how greedy they were during their heyday. Now let's move on to the sin of sloth, or the absence of interest or negligence in taking care of oneself, their family, or their property. This definitely represents the Vanderbilt Commodores of the past decade, who seem to be more and more disinterested in building a team that can actually win the SEC and compete for a national championship. Frankly, their games are pretty rough to watch, with a few surprise wins that happen every other season, but it doesn't seem like things are getting any better anytime soon. The Commodores have struggled to keep pace in the competitive SEC, often appearing lackluster in their performance. Perceived lack of urgency in improving their program highlights the challenges they've faced in breaking free from this deadly sin. Since 2000, the Commodores have only been ranked in the AP poll one time, and that was back in 2008, where they peaked at number 5. During this period, Vandy has gone through 7 head coaches, none that were known as incredible recruiters for top-level prospects. Despite Vandy's tenure as a bottom to middle of the pack team for the past 2 decades, they experienced some periods of objective success under coach James Franklin from 2011 to 2013, where he led them to a 24-15 record. But then for the Commodores, they were usually met with periods of major non-contention, i.e. 2014 through 2020 under coach Derek Mason, where they posted a record of 27-55. Academically, Vanderbilt teams are always tops in the nation, but unfortunately being good with analytics don't translate into wins. Vandy has a history of signing great individual players such as Jay Cutler, Casey Hayward, and Jordan Matthews in the past, but haven't managed to put together a team that has been able to unseat the top teams in the SEC. Vandy embodies the sin of sloth because of their disinterest in utilizing all of their resources, such as their rabid fan base, stadium atmosphere, university prestige, and a top 5 rated athletic facility to entice better prospects to sign with the university. Instead, they seem to be content with where they reside currently in the SEC hierarchy. Next up is the sin of gluttony, or an overindulgence or overconsumption of anything to the point of waste. This best summarizes the Ohio State University and their over-recruiting of high-profile prospects and coaches to the point they aren't progressing and wasting their potential as a team. Ohio State represents gluttony with their overwhelming appetite for talent and wins. The Buckeyes consistently recruit top-tier players, filling their roster to the brim with skill. However, their excessive focus on accumulating talent has sometimes led to imbalances and challenges in team chemistry, taking the art of recruiting to such an extreme that I thought they deserved the gluttony spot on the 7 deadly sins list. The Buckeyes have a peculiar track record recently as of the past decade and a half of collecting entire starting lineups on both sides of the ball, players that are NFL caliber. The majority of their teams started their season as national title contenders, but seem to tail off as the season goes on. With a storied history of dominance in college football, Ohio State has consistently sought to bolster its roster with an overwhelming influx of top-tier recruits. This relentless pursuit often leads to an overabundance of talent at certain positions, resulting in a lack of opportunity for deserving players. The program's significant financial resources allow it to attract and retain high-caliber athletes, creating a depth chart that can overshadow competitors, but also raises questions about fairness and sportsmanship. The Buckeyes' desire to maintain their elite status often manifests in recruiting classes filled with highly touted prospects, creating a culture where winning is prioritized above all else. This gluttony for talent can stifle the growth of lesser-known players as they struggle to find playing time in a team saturated with stars. While the pursuit of excellence is admirable, Ohio State's approach illustrates a hunger that, while yielding success on the field, raises questions on whether they are gaining players that can feed into the necessary team chemistry needed to win a national championship, something that has eluded the program since the days of Ezekiel Elliott. A balance between substance and flash are necessary entities for any team to have to manage if they want to have a shot at winning a title. It seems that Ohio State may be entertaining or overindulging in the flash and neglecting the necessary substance needed to overtake teams that seem to be ahead of them year after year. And this is the excessiveness that characterizes the gluttony spot on my 7 deadly sins list. Now let's transition to the sin of envy, or a desire to have a quality, possession, or other desirable attributes belonging to someone else can be expressed as a sad, resentful, or covetous attitude towards someone else. And that's definitely a fit for the Colorado State University. In recent years, we've started to see their little brother complex and how hard they've been trying to have the reputation of a similar Colorado team. CSU has often found itself looking longingly at the success of its rivals. Their struggles for recognition in a state dominated by a bigger program reflects a deep-seated desire to rise above and earn their place in the spotlight. The Colorado State University football team exemplifies the sin of envy through its recent struggles to keep pace with the success and attention garnered by rival programs, particularly the University of Colorado under head coach Deion Sanders. The Rams' football history has been overshadowed by the Buffs' resurgence, creating a palpable sense of jealousy among CSU players and fans. This envy became particularly pronounced in the wake of the highly publicized feud between the two programs, where trash talk and competitive tension reached a boiling point, culminating in a heated rivalry game that drew national attention. The CSU team, facing a challenging season with a current 2-3 record, has watched its Colorado star-studded roster, filled with players lured by Sanders, gain accolades and media spotlight. Key players at CSU, including some of who received offers of up to $600,000 to transfer, underscore the financial and competitive envy that's infiltrated the program. The allure of joining a more successful team or a better financial opportunity creates a temptation that reflects the Rams' desire to elevate their status. This rivalry not only fuels the flames of competition, but also highlights a broader issue within college football: the obsession with rival success that can lead to an unhealthy focus on what others possess rather than fostering growth within one's program. As CSU grapples with these feelings of inadequacy and envy, it must find ways to cultivate its identity and success while navigating the challenges posed by more glamorous rivals. This envy, rooted in desire for recognition and achievements, ultimately shapes the Rams' narrative as they seek to reclaim their place in college football. Next up is pride, or a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own accomplishments and achievements, the achievements of those with whom one is closely associated with, or from the qualities or possessions that are widely admired. Clemson University's football team embodies the sin of pride, particularly evident in its historical success and the mindset that has emerged since their last national championship in 2019. Under head coach Dabo Swinney, who has cultivated an atmosphere of confidence and belief in the program, Clemson has enjoyed a remarkable run, including 6 consecutive college football playoff appearances, 2015, 2020, and 2 national titles. However, since their 2019 championship victory, the Tigers have struggled to maintain that elite status, failing to make significant playoff contention in recent years. This decline has been accompanied by a sense of entitlement amongst the fan base and players, stemming from the program's past accomplishments. Sweeney's steadfast refusal to embrace the transfer portal further highlights this prideful attitude. While many programs have adapted by seeking immediate talent through the transfer portal, Sweeney insists on building a roster through traditional recruiting methods, suggesting that he believes in the superiority of his approach. This reluctance may stem from a pride in Clemson's culture and a belief that players should develop within the program, rather than relying on external help. Consequently, as the Tigers face increasing competition from other powerhouse teams that have successfully integrated transfer players, their pride may hinder their ability to evolve and reclaim their former dominance. This combination of historical success and a reluctance to adapt and an inflated sense of self-worth illustrates how pride can cloud judgment and impede progress, ultimately leaving Clemson wrestling with the reality of the diminishing national championship contention. Now, lust is an interesting sin because it has so many layers, and there are dozens upon dozens of ways to fall into this category. By definition, lust is seen as wanting or desiring something so bad you'll do anything to get it, even if the actions are immoral. When you talk about it like that it's tough to consider any other team in recent college football history other than the Florida State Seminoles. Florida State University football embodies the sin of lust through its relentless and often reckless pursuit of victory, particularly in the quest for another national championship. Historically, FSU has been a powerhouse in college football, with 3 national titles to its name, but the recent years have been marked by an insatiable desire to reclaim that glory. This yearning has led to questionable practices, including potential violations related to name, image, and likeness deals. Reports have surfaced suggesting that FSU might have offered substantial financial incentives to high-profile recruits, such as DJ Ugalele, in an attempt to secure top talent. The allure of quick success, however, has not translated to the results on the field, as evidence of the team's dismal 1-5 record in recent seasons. This desperate approach to winning reflects a broader trend in college football, where programs prioritize immediate gains over long-term stability. FSU's willingness to engage in questionable tactics to attract star players by people within the organization reveals a lust for success that overrides ethical consideration. The desire to win at all costs not only risks tarnishing the program's reputation, but also fosters an environment where players may feel pressure to perform despite the potential fallout. As the Seminoles grasp with the consequences of their actions, the contrast between their lofty ambitions and the reality of their performance highlights the dangers of allowing lust for victory to overshadow integrity. Ultimately, this pursuit reveals a team caught in a cycle of yearning for greatness while struggling to reconcile its actions with the foundational value of college athletics. Now, last but certainly not least, wrath, or an uncontrolled feeling of anger, rage, or even revenge. The University of Miami football team embodies the sin of wrath as it fervently seeks to reclaim the prestige and dominance it once enjoyed in college football. Known for its storied history, including 5 national championships and a reputation for producing NFL talent, Miami has been battling to regain its former glory since its last championship win in 2001. The frustration over the years of underperformance has fueled an intense desire to restore the program's legacy, manifesting as a wrathful determination to win at any cost. This season, the Hurricanes have shown signs of resurgence, boosting a current 5-0 record, largely credited by the dynamic play of quarterback Cam Ward, who was signed during the offseason. His ability to lead the team through multiple comeback victories speaks to Miami's aggressive and relentless pursuit of success. The wrath of the program is evident, not just in their performance, but also in the fervor of the fan base and administration, which have grown impatient with mediocrity. This intensity is further reflected in their recruiting strategy, where Miami has actively sought to attract top talent, showcasing a win-now mentality that echoes their historic legacy. The quest for a national championship drives the Hurricanes, but also highlights the underlying frustration with past failures. As they channel their anger into a competitive edge, Miami's wrath manifests into determination to dominate opponents and reclaim their rightful place in college football lore. This blend of ambition and aggression encapsulates the sin of wrath, as the Hurricanes continue their journey toward regaining their former glory in the face of long-standing challenges. So that about sums up our list of 7 deadly sins as college football teams. Let me know if you would have swapped anything around, or if you want to see these kinds of videos in the future. Let me know down below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Peace.